Good morning, rise and shine, everyone. Rise and shine. It's Jeff Abramowitz here, and we're here celebrating Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. And we're here for the Rise and Shine podcast. It is Friday. It is our last one. I am, I'm up on coffee again because every morning this week we've been celebrating Adult Education and Family Literacy Week and starting our day off with Rise and Shine podcast. And I can't think of a better way to end the week than really bringing on some super guests for everybody today. So really excited. I just want to kind of recap a few things. One is, we've been active across the country, just shining a light on adult literacy, adult education to legislators, to governors, to mayors, to anyone who will listen to how important it is about pushing adult education forward in our country, not only with funding, but just with resources that we might have and how important partnerships are in the whole scheme of all of that. But there are a lot of things that you can do. And the one thing I want to remind people is that Adult Education and Family Literacy Week should really be Adult Education and Family Literacy Day. And we should have it every single day of the year. It shouldn't just be one week of the year that we really highlight this. There are a lot of easy ways for you to get involved. And one is to sign our pledge to support adult education. If you go onto COABE's website, and I'm sure Lindsay's going to put it in the chat box, it's just super easy to do. Just click on the pledge. It's 10 simple statements that recognize how important adult education is in our community and in our country. The other thing you can do, which is really get involved. Get involved at any level you can, whether it's your local adult education center, your city organizations, your state organizations, or even at a federal level. Get involved, and there's no better way to do that than through COABE. COABE is the advocacy force. The Coalition on Adult Basic Education is the advocacy arm for adult educators in the country, as well as our students, and just super proud to be associated with them as public policy chair. I will tell you that the resources that COABE has on their website are the very best that you can find regarding adult education in our country. And just to prove it out, one of the things that I use, I keep them in my briefcase, I take them wherever I go, is the National Fact Sheet for adult education. And this one document just tells us the whole story of how important adult education is in our country, and they're printable. You can take them with you, you can share them, you can have them out in your offices, but it's just a wonderful tool that you want to have in your toolbox. I also want to give a shout out to everybody that's been active this week at every single level. We've heard from you, we hear you, we see you, and I say we see you because we do see you on our Padlet that we have on the COABE website. You can see all of the amazing work being done around the country in the past week, getting proclamations from mayors, governors. It's been incredible. Huge shout out to our state adult education advocacy, our SAAEF Fellows, who've been active on Capitol Hill and throughout the country this week. So I want to give a huge shout out to all of them, as well as our SAAEF members that have been out advocating as well. Again, we are the podcast has been wonderful. It's been rise and shine, and I've been glad to do it. But I really want people to rise and shine every single day that they wake up and be active in adult education in our country. So that's how important it is. I want to get to our show because we have some incredible guests today, some super personal to me. And the first guests are Lynne Hamblin and Ernice Brown. So Lynne is a GED graduate student and currently a student at Road Community College in Southern Oregon. And we also have Ernice Brown from Milwaukee County Youth Education Center. And first of all, thank you both for being on today. And I so apologize for the time lag. I know we are on the East Coast here. We've had our coffee. We're getting up and rise and shine. You guys should both still be in bed somewhere, I think, and just getting up. So good morning. How are you guys?
Oh, fine. Good morning. Doing well.
Doing well. Well, thank you for jumping in. Lynne, we're going to start with you because it's crazy that we often tell stories, and it's the stories up on the hill or wherever we are that are so impactful. And I was wondering if you could share with our audience a little bit about you and a little bit why adult education has been so important in your life.
Adult education has been super important in my life because I was 42 years old and it was May of 21 when I graduated and got my GED, and it changed everything. It changed how I feel about myself. It changed every opportunity in my life. Every door was open. Every door that I didn't even know was closed was now open. Um, and it was not just getting my GED, it turned into a love of education and wanting to support students like myself and first generation students who don't even know that they can feel like this and have their life changed by just getting their GED.
Lynn, what was the tipping point for you? I think we all go through life and we want to do something, and then finally something gets us and just sends us over that edge. It says, darn it, I'm going to do it today. So what was it for you that was the tipping point that got you back into the classroom to get your high school equivalency?
It came down to money. I didn't know that it was one affordable because it was at the community college. I figured it was community college money, that I'd have to pay to attend classes. When my twins were then 4 years old and attending the Head Start on campus, the Head Start offered to pay for my GED. And I figured, well, I'm here anyway, and I might as well do it. And I didn't even realize that I needed or wanted it or could do it. And so it changed my life so tremendously. And I now work as a student employee at Road Community College in our GED department, helping other students change their lives as well.
Love it. I love it. I love it. Can you just share a little bit more? What was the biggest challenge you faced in all of this in your journey?
COVID. I
Oh,
attended
yeah.
one term on campus and then we went on lockdown. I had my young twins at home as well as my teenage stepson. And so I didn't think I could go back. All of my tests were canceled. And, I had 3 kids at home. There's no way I could help them with school and do school myself. Um, and so I'd given up.
Wow.
And it was another student that I'd met through the program. He convinced me that I could go back and I could juggle my kids and reminding me how important it was for me to finish. And I got to help him finish as well. We graduated, both of us now. So it was, camaraderie with other students is just so important to keep us all going.
That's just crazy good. It really is. It's so important. I was just reading a statistic the other day. I mentioned it once or twice during the podcast this week that the greatest determinant of a child's educational achievement in their lifetime, your twins, is the education of their parent. And
Absolutely.
that's pretty remarkable. Hang in there. I want to hear more in a second, but I want to talk to Ernice. Ernice Brown, how are you?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good.
Good. Thank you for joining us today. You're at Milwaukee County Youth Education Center. And if there's one place I think that we really need to center our attention when we talk about adult literacy is really our young people in our country. Can you tell us a little about the work you do and what's going on in Milwaukee?
Sure. I work with incarcerated students age 17 through 21. And the work that I do is whatever needs to be done. Most of them come in at a 3rd through 5th grade level. So they're way beyond or beneath where they need to be to access GED programming. I'm here because I got very frustrated with that. It just is something that shouldn't be. I did early childhood before, and I celebrated and loved teaching the younger ones. And I don't really know what happened between early childhood and high school. And I want some answers. I want some solutions, and I want to be a part of the solution.
Yeah, well, you definitely are part of the solution. One of the biggest challenges we face, and this is the work that I do every day, is working with people that are justice impacted and going through the systems. And I always, I'm a huge fan of diversion programs where we keep people out of facilities and don't give them a criminal background to struggle with the rest of their lives, but really giving young people some attention and really helping them navigate and making education important. I'm curious, at your facility and the work that you do, what is it that grabs young people today, and what's your philosophy on kind of getting people over that hurdle of I can't do it to gosh, yes, you can do it.
Meeting them where they are. And that means if they're saying, I don't like the books you have, I'll be honest, I went in my own pocket and got books that they could relate to the best of my ability. the purpose was to develop a daily reading habit because they weren't reading. There were a bunch of books there that were collecting dust. And I'm like, if we could start here, then we can go on to doing book reviews. You can write about it. You can talk about it. You can get involved and start building your intellect that you'll need once you're released.
Yeah, wow, that's just so important. And meeting young people where they are also means, blending things together, being creative, doing the same old just doesn't work anymore. And I know we have a number of youth programs that we work with that we have across the country where we're blending basketball and with tutoring. And we blend music and theater and things that young people are involved in and they love and kind of get them in the circle so that we can connect them to education and the importance of it, so they can move forward and be in a life really crime free and see that shining light. There are challenges that students face and adults face and moms and dads face, and a lot of our young people today have children, and they're navigating that challenge as well at home. I always say, Lynn, that one of the challenges for adult learners isn't so much that they can't do the work; it's diapers, and that we have to recognize that a lot of what happens with persistence of our students happens outside of the walls of our classrooms, and really understanding that dynamic. So I'm curious from your end, how challenging was it for you? You got twins, you're juggling two balls up in the air. How difficult was it with you tending to your family and also moving forward with your education?
Definitely through COVID, it was extremely rough. My twins were able to start kindergarten on campus because we were in county schools districts, so our numbers were lower. And it really was them being able to start on campus that helped me get through that because I had the time. Road Community College has an amazing program called concurrent enrollment. So while I was working on my GED, I was also taking college level classes. So when I started my college journey, I had all of my prereqs were already done.
Love
So
it.
that was a huge catalyst to being able to move forward as well. It's a really great soft transition from being out of school for 20 plus years to, our GD program works differently a little bit than the college. But so having that soft buffer where the GD program helped guide me in, through the concurrent enrollment program and kind of helped me navigate and get a head start on my college credentials. I have 3 business certificates right now that stacked right into my associate's degree, which will be done. I think I have 5 more terms because, as we all know, parenting students take twice as long to finish any credentials, which is also a big passion of mine
Well,
that I'm working with is parenting students as well.
it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And
Correct.
you stick with it and you keep up. You truly, Lynn, are just an inspiration to so many moms and dads out there that are trying to navigate the world of adult ed and knowing that it can be done, even raising a family. So I'm so just so impressed and congratulations, really. I'm hoping our audience and the people that are going to watching this podcast in the future just look at you and just recognize how incredible it is and that it can be done. It can be done. Ernice, I have this thing that I do on the podcast. I actually do it on some of the other things that I run. And one of them, I actually have it here in my office. I'm going to hand it to you virtually. It's my magic wand. I'm going to give it to you because in the correctional and reentry setting and working with those justice impacted, we are challenged by so many things to fix that system. And I'm so glad you mentioned solutions because oftentimes we think, and we're really good at talking about the problem, not so much about how we fix it. And I give you so much credit of just jumping in this pool to try and make change happen. But I'm giving you my magic wand today because we have a lot of people in the country are going to be watching this, and I want to know if you got the magic wand to fix anything when it comes to juvenile justice and education. What are you going to do with it?
I would work on the students before they get there. I'd invest more funds, more time, more attention, more resources altogether to turn, how could I say, turn the trend or change the trend of so many coming in. I never have a problem having students. The wait list is backed up
Hmm.
when students are incarcerated when they that's a detriment to society. And it's something that if I could change one thing, I wouldn't have such a big wait list. They'd be out there pursuing their education, working on becoming contributors to society rather than being in jail.
Absolutely love it. That's a great use of the wand. I want to thank you both. They're both an inspiration to all the people that are out there that are in this, that are doing this work nationally, and keep it up. Just know that, again, this is good. This is going to be a marathon, not a sprint. We're going to be in it for the long haul. And, change takes time sometimes, but Adult Education and Family Literacy Week is just 1 week. We should be doing this every single day of the year, and you both are clearly doing that. So big shout out to both of you, and thank you for getting up so early today. I look forward to working with you guys both in the future as we move forward. And yeah, have a great rest of your week. I want to move on today because our next guest is a person that I know and admire. He is actually my prior boss. And I did not know actually before he was scheduled that he'll be on, but we're gonna be talking apprenticeships with John Colborn. So we're gonna pop on to John and Lynne and Ernice. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll put you in the backstage and we'll bring up John in a second. Thank you guys are great. This is what Adult Education Family Literacy Week is all about, right? It's about, getting people to understand not only the challenges, but the solutions to everything. So I absolutely love it. Let's see if we can bring John on the stage. Is Lindsay back there? Maybe. Let's see, maybe if I can do it. Oh, there we go. We're starting to move now. There we go. There's John. Hey, how are you, John?
Hey, I'm great. Great to see you, Jeff.
It's great to see you. I did in my lead up just mention the little tidbit that you were my prior boss. My prior boss. I was like,
I could tell stories.
I know, way too many too. But John, thank you so much for being here today. I was flattered and really excited when I saw that you were going to be on because, we both transitioned. I transitioned to another program, and you moved over to this incredible position with Apprenticeships for America. Can you just tell our audience a little bit about Apprenticeships for America and the work that you do there?
Absolutely. So most folks, when they think about apprenticeship, they think carpenter, plumber, and indeed, that's most of the apprenticeships in the United States. But if you go around the world, you actually realize that apprenticeships can cover many different occupations and really represent a whole different pathway for people to attain post-secondary educational training and access really good paying jobs and careers. And in the United States, we just haven't fully taken advantage of everything that apprenticeship might offer for folks. And so my organization, Apprenticeships for America, is really about helping the United States realize the full potential of apprenticeships, expanding them to new occupations and new areas, diversifying the folks that are participating in apprenticeship, engaging employers who are interested in new ways of attracting and developing talent. We see apprenticeship as an alternative pathway to college, and sometimes a linked pathway that connects people both to jobs and to college degrees.
Yeah.
And so that's what we do. And we do that through policy and organizing people who are doing this work and doing a little bit of research and that sort of thing.
It's just awesome. I was up on Capitol Hill all week and just came back last night. And one of the things that happened in all of our meetings, well, one in particular rings true, and I may have mentioned this after it happened, was we did Flood the Hill Day on Tuesday, and I was up, and my team was someone from Beyond Literacy from Philadelphia,
Great.
Dawn Hanna. It was an education student who graduated their program, and also had a representative from Pico Energy. And we went into a number of senators' offices that day, and every single one of them were, first of all, they beelined to the student because they wanted to hear the student story.
Forget the bureaucrats. We want to talk to real people.
Exactly. And then the second person they jumped to was our employer.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I think we didn't, our educational systems and our labor systems just never directly connected.
Yeah.
And now I think we're all beginning to start to get the message I'm curious from your perspective, apprenticeship seems to just make good sense in our country. It just makes good sense. But I'm wondering from your eyes, are you seeing it just never really been fully embraced by employers across the country?
Truly.
And what are the challenges with apprenticeships and why do you think it's not, it's just now starting to really grow grass?
I think part of it is it's just not been in our tradition. And it's sort of funny because actually, if you go back to the very beginning of the country, George Washington did an apprenticeship, Ben Franklin did an apprenticeship, Paul Revere was an apprentice. We had apprenticeships very much central to the way people develop their professional skills. And then really for the last 50, 60 years, our focus as a country has really been on college, which has been great, actually. A lot of people have accessed college, gotten into college because of that focus, but it's been a little bit at the exclusion of other pathways. And so I think as we are getting to a point when we're realizing that maybe this focus on college has reached a plateau in terms of how many people can get into college and also, frankly, the expense and challenge of getting through college, people are looking for alternatives. I think from the employer perspective, there have been a couple of challenges out there. First off, we've made apprenticeship a little bit too hard in this country. And so one of the things that we work on at Apprenticeships for America is really trying to make it easier for employers to get to establish apprenticeships. Partly that's through doing some stuff on regulation because we tend to a little bit over-regulate apprenticeship. But partly that's also about really equipping organizations like the one you and I just worked for to be able to work with employers and set up apprenticeships on sort of a turnkey basis. And these solutions providers, what we call apprenticeship intermediaries, kind of take on all the heavy lifting of working through the regulatory stuff and putting into place the practices and the programs and the educational partner relationships and all those things that would be otherwise a little bit of a barrier for employers. And then I'm just going to say one last thing, which is every other country that's grown apprenticeship knows that it takes public investment. We don't ask employers to invest in the education, in the college education of the employees that they hire. And similarly, I think we need to have more of a posture as a matter of public policy that the government will take some of the cost of paying for apprenticeship.
Yeah, which really just makes good sense. And I can see the struggle because we struggle with funding for adult education in our country.
Very much so. Yep.
For a long time, where we're just now beginning to see not only level funding, but increasing in funding over the years and how important funding is to make this happen. But we're celebrating Adult Education and Family Literacy Week, which is recognizing the importance of adult education in this whole scheme, in this whole picture. And I've been talking all week about the village, which is really the country. But the village to me is all the partners that really need to come to the table to help people succeed. And you're so right. I think there are countries in this world where they've recognized the value of the apprenticeship and the trades. Being a plumber is the equivalent of being a doctor in many countries.
Yep.
And we've been so ingrained in our country of going to college that oftentimes the apprenticeships and these things that our founding fathers really embraced have fallen by the wayside, and we need to get back to some of that. But I was wondering if you could comment a little bit on the importance of adult literacy, adult education in feeding apprenticeships.
Yeah, so one of the missions of Apprenticeships for America is diversifying apprenticeship in the United States. Historically, partly because it's been so rooted in the construction trades, apprenticeship is kind of known as a white and male opportunity. And fortunately, in the last few years, partly because the trades had done a lot to really build a more diverse pipeline of talent into those professions, and partly because we've diversified the occupations that apprenticeship relates to, we've done a lot to add more women to apprenticeship and more people of color to apprenticeship. But we also know part of diversifying apprenticeship also requires us to be able to link to populations that historically have been excluded or not succeeded or had other challenges with traditional education systems. We actually really like that because apprenticeship does represent a different kind of learning modality. It's much more experiential, uses your hands. If you were a person that didn't like the classroom stuff or that didn't work for you, apprenticeship can be a really good way to build the skills that are really required in today's economy to have a good paying job. And so we really see connecting to these pipelines that have tapped and are serving populations that have maybe not succeeded or not been motivated by traditional high school and college career preparation to look for alternatives. And the truth is, in order to succeed in an apprenticeship, you need some basic literacy, right? So many of our employers will say, we don't need that college degree if we can work on, some of the contextualized learning, but we need to know people are able to crack open a book, compose an email, do those basic literacy, and be able to perform at that basic literacy level in order to be able to succeed in the apprenticeship. And so we're really excited about the prospect of building these pipelines, just as adult education and literacy providers are helping prepare people for high school diplomas, preparing people to enroll in college. We think one of the other things that they should be thinking about is connecting people to apprenticeship programs.
So I love it. And, we connected, we've been friends for a bit, but we've recently connected you to COABE, the Coalition on Adult Basic Education. And it's just a great partnership. And again, it's just making that village more complete. I will tell you a story. I was coming back from Washington yesterday and made a pit stop. I went to see a gentleman named Marty Schwartz, and Marty's down in Baltimore. He runs a program called Vehicles for Change, and Vehicles for Change actually gets donated cars, and they have a training program that trains people to become mechanics, both men, women, anyone interested in the field. And not only do they rehab the cars, but and resell them, but they sell them to marginalized populations and populations that can't afford transportation to get their kids to school or to get to work. And then they have a mechanic shop where it's a fee for service kind of thing that helps generate income for this wonderful program that they have. These are the kind of programs. I walked out of there. I was so I was so excited. I was like, sign me up. Like, I just want to go down there and just start learning how to fix a car and change tires and oil and all that stuff. It's just remarkable. But I'd say it because I think apprenticeships is the kind of thing where when you put contextual learning together and you can actually be in doing the trade, it makes a world of difference for an adult learner. And that is something that, we have to embrace and recognize. And our legislators, I think, have to see the importance of it. And I think many of them do, but the power of having an adult educator next to a major employer and also a training partner and apprenticeship partner at the table. I'm curious, during this week in particular, when we talk about legislation, what is it that would help Apprenticeships for America when we talk about legislation and things that are really important for people in the country to know?
Yeah, so I would say sort of three things. The first is the United States just woefully underinvests in apprenticeship and woefully underinvests in adult education and family literacy. And we really have common cause in looking at the way we can increase the investment from the public sector in these really critical pipelines that prepare people for jobs and careers and help advance education more generally. So we have that. There's a whole bunch of things just around that. The other thing, though, that we really know is going to be critical is making sure that our education system is aligned or at least advances opportunities for people to participate in an apprenticeship. And the good news is we're actually seeing that. If you look at what's happening with high school diplomas and high school diploma requirements, there's a whole lot more career-connected learning that's being woven into the high school credential. And including apprenticeships and different kinds of industry recognized credentials. That's all great for folks who are in high school. But what about the folks that didn't manage to finish high school for whatever reason? It was interrupted or just wasn't for them. And I think we have a similar opportunity to look at how community colleges and adult education and family literacy providers are likewise being connected to these kinds of pipelines. And sometimes that's a matter of just making sure that we're rewarding schools and education providers for making those connections, for helping people do that work. Sometimes it's about making sure we have the connections, just the social connections, so people are aware of each other. And then also it's a little bit about alignment. So making sure that adult education and family literacy providers are given the resources to be able to serve people who are in apprenticeship programs, or that apprenticeship programs are incented to be able to work with their partners in community colleges and literacy programs. So I think there's both sort of some structural stuff that policymakers at the state and the federal level can do to help advance this. And then, of course, there's the money. We got to deal with the money.
Yeah, for sure. Over the last few years, COABE's documented over 1 million adult learners transitioned into employment opportunities. And I just think it would be incredible if in our adult literacy classes that apprenticeships were introduced there as an opportunity for people that are getting their high school equivalency as that next step. You know, one of the challenges with adult literacy are, and then what? Those 3 words, and then what?
And then what?
Give everybody a high school diploma and you help them get there, and then what?
And then what?
Apprenticeships fill that gap of, and then what? You know, these are things that can be life altering for people, really give them a pathway to a career and a sustainable job for their lifetime. And that's pretty remarkable.
I mean, Jeff, you and I know the high school diploma is a really, or equivalency is a really important basis to be able to move forward, but it's not a destination. Not at least if you really want to be able to earn enough money to support a family. And so that's really what we need to make sure we have. We have those pathways for folks, whether that's to community college and to college degrees, or to things like apprenticeship that provides those other kinds of pathways.
I love it. John, you've been a good friend, and congratulations on your amazing work at Apprenticeships for America, and your partnership with COABE and your partnership with me and PD Green program. And you're doing great stuff, and just keep it up. We're hoping that apprenticeships over the next few years are going to become the norm and not the exception.
Exactly.
And we'll get there. But we'll all work together to make it happen. Thanks so much for being with us this week on Adult Education Family Literacy Week. John Colborn, Apprenticeships for America. Check them out. John, real quick, what's your website? Where can people check out more?
It is a very long URL, but it is apprenticeshipsforamerica.org. So please come on in. And can I just say, if you're interested in just being part of the conversation, just take that fill out one of those forms that says, I want to stay in touch. I want to be connected to Apprenticeships for America. We'll get you on our mailing list. You'll get connected. Promise not to spam you too much.
No worries. John Colborn, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to be moving on with our last guest of the podcast, and I'm really excited about our next guests that are coming on. One's a personal friend, and the other I've been talking about all week. So I'm really excited about having, so we have Anna, there you go, Anna Kaiper-Marquez on, and my good friend Don Finn. Dr. Don, how are you?
Doing well, Jeff. How's it going, man? You holding up well?
I got my coffee going. We're going good. It's the end of a long but really exciting week. Anna, how are you?
I'm good, Jeff. It's really good to see you again.
It's great to see you again as well. I am really excited about having this discussion. Well, first of all, we're going to be ending our podcast with you. So super important, because I always love to end on a high note, like get people, they always say when you go see a Broadway show, it's successful when you're singing that song when you walk out of the theater. So I want you guys to keep that in mind today as we're talking. We got some time today. I want you to get people thinking of the song you want them singing as they walk out of here today, because super important. Anna, I know that you're the director of family literacy at the National Center for Families Learning, and I can't think of a more impactful organization in our country when we talk about learning and families and putting those two pieces together. Can you just share a little bit about your organization and the work you guys do?
Absolutely. Well, first, I just want to say that Dr. Felicia Cummings-Smith sends her regards. She unfortunately was not able to join us today, but she is so excited about this podcast, as well as the COABE family literacy edition. It's really, it's amazing to just see. So NCFL, National Center for Families Learning, has been working toward advancing adult and family literacy through 35 years of engagement and leadership in the field. And really our mission is to eradicate poverty through educational solutions. So that started with a vision by our founder, Sharon Darling. She was originally a second grade teacher, started teaching these adults in a, the basement of a church, and realized that while the adults were focused on their own needs as learners, ain't no stopping us now. I love that. While adults are focused on their own needs as learners, a lot of times they're not able to really focus on their identities as parents, as caregivers, as grandparents. And so she envisioned a comprehensive framework for putting that all together. And so that's really taken off. And then when Dr. Cummings-Smith started on board with us, she had a vision for kind of expanding that even further and really focusing on family literacy, as well as family leadership, as well as family engagement, and bringing together this comprehensive system to really do deep community work. So it's been amazing to see it take off, and I'm just really honored to be a part of it.
I can't tell you. So I've only been in adult literacy for about 9 years. And one of the things that just hooked me hook, line, and sinker as looking to the future was working with a student in North Philadelphia, where I was teaching GED math at the time. And the student was sitting out in the like the lobby area that we had, and they were sitting there with their child who was 4 or 5 years old and had a book in hand. And before every class, they were spending time together reading. And it just was, to me, it just sent this message that this is just the way the world should be for adult learners. Like, it should be a family project where, you're both, it just makes so much good sense. And it's so important in our country, and something I think is often overlooked. We look at helping people get their high school equivalency. We look at moving them post-secondary into college or into a trade program. But the truth is that education has a generational impact, and it not only changes the lives of the person, the student, but it changes their entire family. And that is something that is it's almost priceless. You just can't put a value on it. But how do you make that connection at your organization? And what's the philosophy? Like, how in the weeds, like, how do we do it?
Yeah, I love that question. So first of all, I just want to point out that I love your own work. I actually, I started my passion for family literacy. I was working at the Goodling Institute for Research in Family Literacy, and we did a project on a family literacy program for incarcerated individuals, and the importance of trying to connect, parents who were incarcerated with their children, and figuring out that literacy was really a key to that. And so that really takes us to our model, and our model is figuring out how we can draw on already existing programming to really bring it together into what we call component integration. So we know that throughout the country, there is robust adult education taking place. I mean, I love going to COABE and seeing just the beautiful programming that's in existence, both with ABE, ASC, IETs, career pathways, all of these beautiful pieces of work. We also know, though, that sometimes that type of programming forces an adult as well as an instructor to kind of ignore the other identities that they bring, right? So they're really focused on their identity as a learner, which is amazing, but they might have to kind of ignore their identity as a caregiver. So our framework says the yes and. So adult education is a key piece of family literacy. It's not separate in any way. Adult education is where it all starts. But then saying, well, what else do these adults need? So maybe they need additional support with different parenting skills. How can we integrate community programming into that? Maybe there's a bank that's teaching legal literacies that we could bring in for what we call parent time. Maybe, the extension office is offering these beautiful nutrition classes, so we can bring them in. So it's really about community mapping of what is already in existence. And then it's also about connecting that adult education and parent time piece to children's education. We know that so often, there is this incredible children's education happening. And we also, I just want to note that we're not saying that children's education has to be 0 to 8. We are saying that children's education can be from 0 to technically age 21 for those children who have maybe additional needs. So how can we better connect the adult learning and the parent time to the children's ed piece? And then finally, there's the heart of our 4-component model. That is the parent and child together time. And that's a way for the children and the adults to come together and really share what they're learning. And I actually like to even take it a step further and say, you know, drawing from like Paulo Freire's notion of conscientization, really trying to debunk these hierarchies of learning and saying parents are their child's first teachers. Children are also their parents' first teachers. So how can we bring together that and really kind of expand literacy? And so at NCFL, we do that by working with communities, doing a lot of co-design and really basing our work on what the community is saying that they need.
Yeah, that to me is a better country, right? That to me is just a better country. That's how we get out of the cycle of poverty in our country and generational poverty, and really helping people understand this is the way to do it. You know, education to me, as I'm sure you know, is not just about math and reading. It's digital literacy, financial literacy. It's like all those pieces of the puzzle that have to come together. So thank you so much. We're stay tuned. I want to talk more in a second, but I do want to introduce Dr. Don Finn.
Please,
Dr. Don Finn is past president of COABE and also associate professor at Regent University, and a person that I'm really thrilled that I can call a friend. Don, I love, first of all, people should know that the very first Rise and Shine podcast that we did during the week, Dr. Don Finn had his own air day, and he had his and he did a wonderful job in Washington, D.C. It was one of our first and I think it was when we started Rise and Shine. Am I correct?
It was our first, it was the first time. We were in our war room up there in DC, and Jeff had to get to some meetings. He's like, look, this is what you do this, press this button. Here's the guest. This is what's about. Okay, let's do this. So yeah, thanks, Jeff. I enjoy shooting from the hip.
Yeah, well, we saw a spike in listenership that day for some reason. I think people were tuning in for you. Don, how are you? And you know, I really get excited on Adult Education Family Literacy Week. This is not your first rodeo on this. You've been doing this for a long time, but can you share with everybody a little bit about, you know, how important AEFL Week is, and you know, why we need to be doing this, not just this week, but every single day of the year?
You know, absolutely, Jeff. I was reflecting on things. I have been now in adult education for 31 years. And I started I was a middle and high school teacher, and I had a part-time job opportunity with our first child on the way, and I ended up teaching adult night high school. And one of the things that I want to point out that Anna talked about earlier is with the intergenerational literacy, and Jeff, even your example of the parent who was reading to their child. In my career in Southwest Virginia in the adult education program, I had mothers and daughters in the same class. So young adult daughters and mothers, but still, I also had my students where we met in the public library. I made that part of my program. They went ahead and applied for and received their library cards. And the way that it seemed to change their perspective. Like, wow, I've got all these resources available to me. I remember one young mother came into class one night, and she said, I took my daughter to the library, who was in 3rd grade, and she said, not only did we pick out books together, but I was also able to help her with her civics homework. Wow. And I understood what we were talking about. I understood the questions. And so to me, that's where the rubber meets the road. You know, I have always said that adult education in particular really has the ability to change the direction of family trees for the better, to really have a multi, the generational impact from those existing and those to come. And I think that that's the importance of AEFL Week, to have a dedicated time to really focus on the benefits and the value of adult education, of family education, family literacy, and so on. To have a devoted time to go to Capitol Hill, to have events at state capitals, to speak with state legislators and so on. It's an opportunity to really get the word out, and a concentrated time to do that. And then, of course, it's an opportunity for people hopefully to gain a perspective on having a voice in government, having a voice with the decision makers, and to continue that trajectory as well. I think that oftentimes adult education in particular is underemphasized, and typically the first to be cut budget-wise, and understandable, right? We understand K-12 education is essential; it's very important, but at the same time, the value of adult education is not always emphasized or even recognized. And so that's the value for me of AEFL Week, to have that concentrated, dedicated time to let people know that adult education is out here, and adult education is impactful, and it is worth funding and devoting time and resources toward.
So Don, you nailed it on the head. I mean, its importance is, it is so. It's generational, but it's about community, and it's really about building a stronger country as a whole, and recognizing that it really starts with our families. It starts with that family unit, and that's one of the keys to success, and even keeping people out of prison and jail, and keeping people going to college and going post-secondary or into trades. It's all of that. We're just beginning now to put the pieces together between education and employment. And I think that if you wanted that other bucket that's there, it's this family piece that I think we often miss. And I'm wondering, Anna, from your perspective, I know NCFL is really doing a lot across the country on this, but how important is it to be partnering with places like COABE and other partners in this work to kind of make change happen?
Yeah, Jeff, it's such a great question, and it's incredibly important. I think we've been doing some really interesting work with statewide family engagement grants in Colorado, Arizona, Nebraska, and North Carolina. And some of the, based on evaluation data, some of what we've seen is that when there is a comprehensive family literacy that is integrating adult education, K through 12 schools, the district, community, that results in better attendance for children, right? Something that we all know is an issue. It results in higher measurable skill gains for adults. It results in persistence, better persistence for adult learners and for families. These are all things that we know in our siloed work are so vital, but when you can bring them together, it's like doing the job of what we want everyone to do, but in a cohesive way. And so I think that it really is truly about those core partnerships. And that's why it's been so exciting to work on this COABE Journal edition on family literacy. Because to me, there's this obvious, clear connection, but sometimes, people are so overwhelmed with their work that they, don't have time to see it. And so it's us being able to kind of bring together these beautiful minds and say, look at this, there are real results to this. And instead of doing all this separate work, if we did it together, it would be so much better. So I think that's really what we're trying to promote with with this edition, as well as at our organization.
So thank you for bringing it. I was getting there. It just took me a little longer to get there.
I'm excited.
Don has some children, but one of his babies at home is the journal, the COABE Journal, and it is a baby. It's a full-time job, but the COABE Journal is this remarkable publication that comes out on different topics throughout the year. And Don is he's the brainchild behind it and its publication, and making sure that it is of value to everyone in the field, and for both students and learners and educators across the country, and just does a remarkable job. I've been part of the process a few times, and I will tell you, it is a lot of work. But Don, can you just start us off, and then we'll get to Anna to answer. But can you start us off with the upcoming journal and tell us first of all, we kind of get an idea about the theme, but tell us what we can expect in it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been a pleasure working with Anna. Let me backtrack a little bit. Felicia and I became acquainted with one another through the All In Project, the Adult Literacy and Learning Impact Network, and of course COABE and NCFL and other organizations were founding members of this collaborative. And so she was brand new in her role, and we met and we connected, and we actually talked a bit. And as we've been conceptualizing the journal, one of the things that I really wanted to do was to devote at least one edition a year. We're published twice a year, but to devote one edition a year to partnering with a like-minded organization that appreciates and has the components of adult learning in their as part of their mission and so on. And so Felicia and I actually met up at a conference and had a little Mexican dinner by the San Antonio Riverwalk. And I said, hey, Felicia, I got an idea for you. What do you think of this? And so the idea of having this collaborative journal was birthed there. But the idea really is that we want our readership and our membership at COABE to know that there are other components of adult literacy and adult learning that are critical to the big picture, that we are a community, that we are like-minded, and that we have very similar missions. And so that's the purpose of that. And so actually, the Family Literacy Edition, again, Anna was designated as the content editor, the expert content editor representing NCFL. And this is the finished product, literally hot off the press. In fact, we're going to drop the address, the web address for the journal website, so you can our listeners, our viewers can take a look at the journal and look at some options for obtaining it. But we're very proud of this product because we worked with NCFL in partnership to reach out to folks from around the country to lend their perspectives on what family literacy is, and to talk about their programs, to talk about their experiences, and to share those. And in fact, so we always have something called the lead article, and Anna and I joined forces to kind of lay the groundwork for what family literacy is and the impact of it. And I will say, we touch on those things: the economic benefits, the community benefits, and obviously the family benefits of family literacy programs. And so we're very, very excited about this. And you can just go to coabe.org. You can click on the journal, COABE Journal, which is one of the menu items at the top, and you can find out more information. Of course, the COABE Journal site was just dropped. The direct link was just dropped there. But the COABE Journal is really an opportunity for us to get the word out about the good work that is happening. And not only, as I said, to expose our readership and our members to various components that impact adult learning, or that are impacted by adult learning, or that share in the adult learning and adult education mission, but also to expand our reach a little bit more. Perhaps there are members of NCFL who aren't aware of COABE, and so this is an opportunity for them to learn about the work that we are doing, and hopefully, ultimately, to think about maybe joining forces with programs locally and other professionals locally to ensure that we are having the maximum impact for those learners for whom we are charged to work with. So in a nutshell, that's it. And the journal is a wonderful opportunity to get the word out. It is by practitioners for practitioners as well.
I love it. And you, Don, you always do just an amazing job. I can only imagine teaming up with Anna, how awesome it is on this particular edition. So give me a little bit, Anna, like give me a teaser, will you? If I'm looking at and thinking about getting a copy of the journal, what can I expect?
Yeah, this is really, I think Don's vision for this journal has been incredible, and not just this edition, but the journal in general. I think, in my past experience more in the academic realm, a lot of times I would read journals and they were not for anyone other than researchers. And I think that Don really saw the gaps and said, let's find a way to bring together theory, practice, research to really make this work for everyone, right? In other words, kind of like family literacy, bring together all of these components and make it work. And so that's what this edition does. So we have some incredible work on, evaluations of family literacy and some really important movement and evaluation work. We have some incredible articles on digital literacy and the importance of digital literacy, not just for adults, but for families. And moreover, taking that parent and child time and how can we leverage children's knowledge and support adults as they're learning, right? We also have filled a pretty big gap in a lot of family literacy work because we've moved the work not only from the US, but to outside of the US as well. So there's some really incredible work taking place internationally on family literacy that I think really expands how we can do this and how we can make this bigger than, in the US, but really see the connections beyond. And then we have some incredible work from the fields of, these beautiful reflections on the importance of family literacy, on the impact of family literacy for adults, for teachers. So I honestly feel, Jeff, like you should probably read every single piece because it really is incredible. It's great.
I love it.
I'm
Yeah.
biased, but it's great.
I'm sure that it is. And, we did put a link to the COABE Journal, how to get it in the chat box, and we'll be sharing that out as the edition gets unfolded and circulated across the country. But thank you both for just an amazing project. Really looking forward to reading all of the articles. And just one last piece, before we go, I'm just curious, you have one thing you want to share about literacy and families. What is it that what's the song that we should all be singing? And I know somebody put in the chat, ain't no stopping us now. That's pretty good. But what is it that we should be thinking about as we talk about literacy and families going forward? Anna, you want to start us off?
Sure, I'll start. I will also just put in a quick plug. So we do have a conference coming up, an NCFL conference, the 2024 Families Learning Conference. It is in Louisville, Kentucky from November 18th to 20th. Several of the folks that have written for the journal are also going to be presenting there. So please join us. But I actually think that leads to the song that we should all be singing, which is We Are Family, right? We are family. Because I feel like really the point is that the family extends beyond. And the more that we can connect the family and the community together, the better work that we can do.
I love it. Not a better song. Great choice. Don, what do you got for us?
I don't know if it's actually a song, but it would be something to the extent of "Can you hear me now?" Because I think the idea behind the journal in particular, and I'm going to do another shameless plug, by the way, and you knew I would, is that our journal again is an opportunity for practitioners to reach other practitioners in a way that will impact them, hopefully, of sharing best practices and so on. And in fact, we are a themed journal. And we've had many themes, Jeff. We talked about advocacy, right? We had the advocacy one earlier this year that you were the content editor for. Obviously, we have family literacy here, but we've done many. But the next journal edition that's coming up is entitled "Adult Education Is." ... And so we are soliciting articles from folks to talk about what is adult education, an opportunity to have perspectives on adult education from whether it's in correctional settings or workplace settings or adult education in the impact that it has had on people and so on. So it's kind of a potpourri edition is the working title in the background, but that's the prompt for it. And I really hope that people will take an opportunity not only to contribute to it, but make sure that they look at it. It's going to come out in the spring. And the information on that was dropped in the chat there for submitting an article to it, because we want to hear you. We want your voice to be heard, and we want to share all the good work that is going on amongst ourselves and for others to see as well. So can you hear me?
Awesome. I love it. Well, I'm going with We Are Family. I want to thank you both for being guests today. There you go. There's family right there.
We don't have childcare today, so we're switching on and off. So yes, I have my family here with me.
Hi guys. Hi everybody. Yeah, this is truly family, and a great way to end this segment. We are almost at the end. This has been just a labor of love for me, and I want to thank all of our guests throughout the entire week. Anna and Don, thank you for helping us close it all out. But the Rise and Shine podcast will be back again next year, I hope, for AEFL week. And I just want a big thank you to all of the support behind the walls, Bethel, and everybody that that helped us in this. Lindsay Lord in particular was there every single morning with me, making sure I had my coffee and was up and ready to go. But it is in fact a labor of love. Just want to remind everybody, Adult Education Family Literacy Week is not just a week, it's every single day of the year. So Julie, Lindsay, Bethel, Sharon, everybody on the COABE staff, thank you so much. And Bethel, why don't you take us out of here, and have a good week, everybody. And tune in today for the also for the fabulous Fab Five. We're closing out the week with our fellows at 2 o'clock today. Thanks, everybody.